The English language has provided us with more opportunities for economic development than our local tribal language. Greetings to every Cameroonians in the diaspora and Cameroonians back home, especially the English-speaking part of Cameroon. There has been an existing tension between the Northwest and the Southwest. And this is as a result of us not really understanding each other. After traveling, studying, understanding the socioeconomic dynamics between the Northwest and the Southwest, or people in general and their behavioral patterns, I want to be able to make a brief analysis. That is the purpose of this video, to make a brief analysis on the differences between Northwest and Southwest. Both part of the countries has their weaknesses and have their strength. And I want to be able to highlight that. It is very important because we know that in business and life, if you're building a company or you want to raise a nation, you want to empower people, it is very, very imperative that they understand their strengths and their weaknesses, or else they might just misunderstand each other and just waste this precious time we have on earth that we might be making the best use of it. Does that make sense? And actually helping each other to become better so that we can utilize our full potential. So there has been an existing tension between Northwest and Southwest. Nobody can deny that. This is my observation. I was born in Northwest, Bamenda, Mancon. I'm a child from Mancon. And I've lived in the Southwest. I've lived in Sokolo, in Limbe, for those who are from Limbe. I traveled and visited Limbe in 2006 and lived there for some time. And my experience was different. I mean, like completely different compared to Northwest or Bamenda, where I grew up. Now, this is the reality. The Northwest people are very conservative by nature. Or I would say I have observed that they are very conservative. It might not be by nature, maybe they inherited it. They are very conservative. Why the people in the Southwest are liberal. Now, what does this mean? That means the people of the Northwest region, they have the proclivity to be reserved. They have the proclivity to preserve their culture, to preserve their way of life, to maybe place boundaries. And that is why when you hear about Northwest, all you hear about is Bamenda. But there in Bamenda or Northwest, there is Banso, there is Kambe, there is Kumbo, there is Bali, there is Batibo. There are many subdivisions within Northwest. But what you predominantly hear about is Bamenda. On the flip side, if you go to Southwest, you will hear of Buea, which is the capital, but you will also hear of Limbe, which is like a whole city on its own. You hear of Kumba, you hear of Mutengene, you hear of other places within the Southwest region that is like it's a city on its own. And you ask the question, but why is this way? You see, some of this might have to do with our background and maybe our experiences in the past. The people of the Northwest, they choose to be reserved. And I want to highlight the weaknesses and the strengths of people who are conservative and the weaknesses and the strengths of the people who are liberal. So with that, you can be able to understand your brother better. You can be able to understand your sister better. It's not like they are bad. It's not like they have this attitude that is weird. This is just who they are. But understanding that, or maybe you're from Northwest or you're from Southwest, and hearing what I'm saying, you might try to improve on your weaknesses, or you might try to make the best use of your strengths so that together you guys can build a better community and a better nation. Does that make sense? Okay, so when I'm talking about the people of Northwest being conservative, let me just highlight some few strengths of being conservative. People who are conservative, they tend to preserve their culture. Like I live in the United States of America. Texas to be precise. We have over 52 states in America. Texas, where I live, is a conservative state. That is, if there are some values that America holds, Texas is that part of the nation that says, let's maintain, let's preserve our values. California, on the flip side, is more liberal. Those are the people that say, hey, guess what? Let's welcome new ideas. Let's explore. There is something out there we don't know until we give it a try. That is the perspective of these two groups of people within America. Now, America is divided between the blue and the red states. So the red states are the conservative people, while the blue states are the liberals. You see what I'm saying? I'm using this to show you who you guys are so you can better understand each other, if that makes sense. So that is who the people of Bamenda or Northwest are. And that is why you will see places like Bali, places like Batibo. You don't really see locals from other tribes establishing buildings or businesses in a huge proportion. There are very few people from other tribes go into a place like, say, Banso and establish a business or build their own community, like compared to someone from Limbe who can decide to go to Buea and actually build a business, and they are all people from Southwest. People from Bamenda can migrate to Southwest and actually integrate, and the doors are open so they can come in and maybe make use of the opportunities that are within Southwest. You don't see that within the people of Bamenda, except Mancon. And why? Because the leader, Fonangwafo, his soul rest in peace, he decided after his exposure and education, he came back and understood that in order to lead people, you have to actually open your doors. Because why? You create that environment where you can have strangers come in with their unique ideas, and a combination of this group of people, we can build something amazing. And that is why you see Bamenda is centralized. Northwest is very centralized in Bamenda because of that dynamic, because the people are reserved. Now, what are some of the strengths of the people who are reserved? Like I said, they will preserve culture. They hold very strong values. They have a pride of their nation or a pride of where they come from and all of that. So they have that. You hear that in their songs. You hear that in their traditional groups and all of that. Now, the weaknesses of people who are very conservative is that it is hard for them to experience that kind of developmental breakthrough, because interaction is what actually brings development. When you associate with other groups of people and be open, what happens is it brings development, because you tap into their talent, you tap into their genius, you tap into their creativity. They invest in your community, and because of that investment and creativity, your people interact with other communities, and guess what happens? It is easy for you guys to experience growth. On the flip side, you might be asking yourself the question, but these people don't want to open their doors. But what are some of the weaknesses of them not opening their doors? When you do not open your doors, what happens is you become that kind of individual that you tend to want to do everything by yourself. You might be extremely hardworking to an extent because you want to do everything by yourself. And on the other side, it is a little bit tough for you because you cannot delegate a task. You cannot find someone that has skills that can actually help you. Now, if you look at the people who are liberals, that is the people of the Southwest, you will see that their city is open. With that, they have people from every part of the country coming into Southwest. And because of that, they have diverse talents within Southwest. They have this opportunity that their children can utilize. Why? Because they have people coming in with all kinds of ideas, and because of that, they can grow exponentially. Their economy is booming. Because you say, oh no, it's because of the oil in Southwest. No, it's not just because of the oil. The mindset of the people matter. There are some minerals in Northwest that we have not yet tapped into. There are resources in Northwest that a lot of people, we have not yet tapped into. Why? Because we are closed, right? It's a closed community of people. So those are some things that I just thought I highlight. Now, you ask yourself the question, that is the strengths that we can see with the people of Southwest. What are some of the weaknesses? Some of the weaknesses of people who are liberal is that to an extent, they don't know when to say no. They don't know when to say, hey, this is what we believe. We will accept you coming in here, but this is the extent to which you can go with this behavior. We will not tolerate that. So people who are liberal, they tend to accept everyone. And with that comes the baggage of different kind of character traits that might end up really destroying your people in the long run, which is what you see happening right here in America. So embracing people is a good thing. It will help you expand your economy. It will help you grow exponentially. But the weaknesses of that acceptance is that people will come in, like you see in America, people will come in with all kind of culture. This is who we are. This is what we believe. And guess what? They want a space in that nation as well. And with that, it can be detrimental in the long run for Americans because of the values that they hold. So if you want to preserve the values of your economy, the values of your culture, you have to be able to tell the people coming in, this is how far you can go with this character trait. This is how far you can go with this behavior. And with that, you'll be able to have some balance. If not, you are going to have your culture destroyed. Now, we know that Northwest, Southwest, Cameroon in general has a lot of languages, right? And these languages, to an extent, they come with the culture, with our culture, our food, our way of life, how we dance, and how we dress. These are very important values that presents us to the world as Cameroonians or as people of the Northwest and the Southwest region. Now, the caveat with this is that the culture is cool, but the multiple languages is a hindrance to our own development. Okay? Because why? If I want to trade, say, with somebody from Bali Kumbat or from Buea, and I try to do trade with the locals, one of the hindrances I'll meet is the language barrier. Because somebody might be watching this video and say, hey, you're talking about all of this. We've been fighting with pan-Africanism, and slavery and slave trade came and divided us. Guys, I want us to put this record straight. That is why I'm saying the things I'm saying, because I've studied and I've realized what is really holding us back. The pidgin language or the English language has unified us more than our local tribal language. I want to repeat that again. The English language has provided us with more opportunities for economic development than our local tribal language. Why? Because I, from Mancon, can trade with someone from Banso speaking English, and with that, we can be able to do business. I can trade with somebody from Nigeria. I can trade with somebody from Ghana. I can trade with somebody from America. I can trade with somebody from the Southwest. And because they can understand me, it facilitates trade. But with multiple languages, it is a hindrance to development. And a case study, when the founding fathers established this great nation, America, when they started, they realized that a unifying language is going to be a contributing factor to their project or to their goal. And so if you realize in places like Louisiana, where some parts still speak French, you realize that during that era, I even spoke with some locals, not just books that I read, but I spoke with some locals, and they said they will beat you if you speak another language other than English. Some people got killed speaking other languages than English. Why? Because they understood that if we would foster development, everyone needs to be able to speak and understand each other. And because of that, this nation grew rapidly. I can travel to any state in America and do business with anyone. Why? Because I speak English. Okay. Now, I met with a brother from Cameroon. He's from the French part of Cameroon. He's been in America for a very long time. He shared a very interesting story with me about his life. And he said he was an electrician. That is, he used to do electrical work while in Cameroon. When he traveled to America, he had to learn English all over again because he didn't know English. He spoke French. So he had to learn English because while in Cameroon, he did not learn English, right? He was from the French side. When he came here, he had to learn English. So in that process of learning English to start all over again, he said it slowed him down. He would have made money in America, but he didn't. Why? Because he spoke French. It's not like he was not competent as an electrician. Note that. He was competent as an electrician, but to communicate with the locals here in America and be able to provide that service, he must be able to communicate in English. And because of that, he had to start all over again. What is my point? A unifying language is very, very essential for development. And I want all of us to think about this and start looking for strategies and ways that we can be able to mitigate this problem or slow down on our emphasis on our tribal language. You can preserve some aspects of your culture, but understanding that if I come in within your midst and you have to be speaking another language that I do not understand, it might scare me. I was just sharing this with my wife when this concept came to my mind, and I was like, imagine that all we had was our tribal language, right? All we had was our tribal language. We had no other language except our tribal language. And I come to say Batibo and tell the people of Batibo, I want to rent a house. And maybe they don't understand what I'm saying because I'm speaking in Mancon. Guess what happens? They might think I'm saying I want to come take their land. No, I said I want to rent your house and be able to do business here. And they could start a fight just thinking I said I wanted to rent a house, thinking I said I wanted to take their land. And all of a sudden, we are having a big fight. Batibo and Mancon now are fighting because they perceive that I want to intrude their land. So that is something very, very important to think about. If you see nations like Nigeria, someone in Nigeria can be able to play music just within the group of, let's say, the Igbo people, and they can become very successful. Why? Because there's a unifying language. The people, the Yoruba people, the same, the Hausa, the same. In America alone, you can produce a product or a service and become a multi-billionaire selling that product or service just to Americans. This is huge for development. So I'm talking to my peeps from Northwest because I understand. So what am I saying? Now, the people of Northwest hearing this message and understanding the differences between conscientiousness and openness. That is, the people who are open are liberals. The people who are very conscientious, those are conservatives. And I have break down the differences between these two group of people, the benefits of being conservative and the weaknesses of being conservative, the benefits of being liberal and the some of the negatives of being liberal. And the reason why I'm emphasizing on Northwest at the end of the day is because you have to learn how to be open in order to experience economic breakthrough. You have to learn how to be more open. And there are other aspects around this conversation that I will actually outline on a later time. But this conversation was just to spark your thinking, to have you start analyzing other aspects within your culture that you think this might be a hindrance to our development. I should not want to give a job to someone within the Northwest or Southwest and begin to consider whether they are from my tribe. Rather, I should give them because they deserve it. And as I do that, I begin to open up doors for opportunities and to identify talent and nurture that talent. So together, we can build a better community. I want to get up one day and see Bali be like Bamenda. I want to see Kumbo. I want to see Buea. I want to see Kambe be like Bamenda. That is the kind of schools, the institutions that we have in Bamenda, in Mancon. I want to be able to see that in Kumbo. So if I decide that I want to live in Kumbo, I should have access to those facilities. I should have access to those institutions, just like in Southwest. If I travel to Buea, there are certain facilities, there are certain institutions that I can access. And if I travel to Limbe, I can access the same facilities. You see what I'm saying? That is the difference. That is huge. You see what I'm saying? With that, we are able to have our kids and children within our communities and villages exposed to opportunities that can enhance their lives, not just those who finally make it to Bamenda or those who live within Bamenda get to benefit from these institutions. But I think everyone within the Northwest region, at least we should have at least maybe 5 or maybe 6 or 7 cities within the Northwest that have the same institutions that the children within that community can have access to and enhance the quality of their lives. And we can do this by putting down those walls, opening up our doors, and allowing people from other tribes to come in, establish businesses, trade with us. That interaction is what build every great nation. China struggled for a very long time because they closed their doors. They closed their doors to the world. And they finally realized that this is not working for us. And within a very short time for them, like they opened up their doors and things changed really fast. And they said, we'll embrace the West, we'll embrace America. And what happened? Their economy changed very fast. And we can see that today. And I want to say it is possible to open up your doors and experience exponential breakthrough really fast and be able to build our economies. Like I said, I want to emphasize the Vision 2037 because I see Cameroon a completely transformed nation by 2037. This is a 15-year project. And I think all of us, if we embark on this by opening up our doors, creating opportunities, providing opportunities, sharing, interacting with one another, we can be able to achieve this objective. And what does that Vision 2037 look like? That vision is a vision of a nation where we are not struggling with the basic needs of life. That is food, shelter, clothing, a home, an automobile to drive, having parks, having gyms, having the basic things that we see in America or in other developed countries. Our people have access to these things. I see Cameroon becoming a first world nation by 2037. And that dream is very, very possible if we are able to do certain things. America works perfectly fine because of systems that have been implemented and people follow and believe in, and that is why they are getting the result. They are human beings like us. Everybody in this nation, they are human beings. They just get up every day and just follow a system, and it works and provide this incredible opportunity that they are enjoying. And I want to say we should be able to look at every aspect of great nations around the world and be able to model those principles. I am going to teach a lot on different aspects that will help us to start putting down those walls, adapting new ideas that can bring about transformation in that nation of Cameroon. But I want to start by saying it is possible for it to happen if we decide. And we can only decide if we have an opened mind and also have a closed mind on the other side. Closed mind to the things that will destroy our culture, destroy our youth, and we will end up in the future with all the things we thought we wanted, but yet we have people that are struggling with character defects. We don't want that. So that is why I'm creating this content. Share it with your friends. Implement it most importantly. The little you take and implement will go a long way to bring about that transformation. I love you guys so much. And until next time, stay blessed.